3 days before Christmas Eve, the house smelled like cinnamon, pine, and absolute malice. I was standing in the kitchen, holding a batch of freshly baked cookies, when my mother looked me dead in the eye and said, "The best gift you could give us this year would be if you just disappeared from this family." She wasn't yelling. Her voice was ice cold, cutting through the festive holiday music playing in the background. My stepbrother smiled from the dining table, holding the keys to the car I had spent 3 years saving up for, the car my mother had secretly signed over to him behind my back. In that exact moment, the festive lights around the room felt blinding, and the air left my lungs. They wanted me gone so they could enjoy my hard work without the guilt. But as I packed my bags that snowy night, I realized disappearing didn't mean losing. It meant preparing a reckoning. My name is Chloe, and at 26 years old, I've finally learned the difference between being a daughter and being a financial safety net. Growing up, I was always the steady one, the practical girl who balanced her checkbook at 18 and took a job as a corporate marketing coordinator straight out of college. My mother, Eleanor, always told me I was the foundation of our household, especially after my biological father passed away. But everything changed when she married her second husband and brought his son, Austin, into our lives. Austin was the classic golden child who could do no wrong, despite never holding a job for more than 3 months. While I spent my weekends working overtime and managing the family's utility bills, Austin spent his time crashing expensive cars and racking up credit card debt. My mother constantly excused his behavior, whispering that he just needed time to find his footing. I became a ghost in my own home, noticed only when a bill was due or when the kitchen needed cleaning. I tolerated it because I thought that's what love demanded. I believed that my hard work would eventually earn me my mother's respect. I was dead wrong. The breaking point arrived on a freezing Tuesday afternoon, just 3 days before Christmas Eve. I had logged into our shared bank account to schedule the winter property tax payment, only to find the balance sitting at a devastating $42. The $15,000 I had painstakingly saved for a down payment on my own condo was completely gone. Panicked, I pulled up the transaction history. The money had been wired directly to a luxury jewelry boutique and a high-end credit agency. Austin's name was written all over the transfers. When my mother walked into the kitchen, humming a Christmas carol, I confronted her with the printed statements. Instead of apologizing, her face hardened into a mask of pure disgust. She told me I was being selfish, that Austin needed a fresh start for the new year, and that a good sister wouldn't grudge him a luxury watch and a clean slate. When I threatened to pull my financial support entirely, she stepped into my space, her eyes flashing with ice. "The best gift you could give us this year would be if you just disappeared from this family," she whispered. The betrayal shattered my heart, but it also woke me up. Instead of screaming, crying, or letting them see the tears burning behind my eyes, I simply nodded, turned around, and walked up to my room. For the next 48 hours, while my mother and Austin went out for festive dinners, I sat at my desk and quietly went to work. As the person who had managed the household paperwork for years, I knew exactly where all the family's legal documents were kept. I pulled out the original deed to our house, which had belonged to my late biological father, alongside his finalized will. That was when I uncovered the secret they thought I'd never find. A strict legal clause stated that the property's ownership would bypass my mother and revert entirely to me on my 25th birthday if she ever legally remarried. She had secretly married Austin's father in a private civil ceremony 4 years ago, meaning this house wasn't hers at all. For the past year, I had legally been the sole owner of the entire property, while they treated me like an unwanted tenant. My mother wanted me to disappear, but she had no idea that her safety net was about to pull the entire floor out from under her. On Christmas Eve, I granted my mother her holiday wish. While she and Austin were out attending a lavish neighborhood cocktail party, I executed my silent departure. I didn't leave a dramatic note, and I didn't break a single dish. Instead, I spent 3 hours quietly loading the essentials of my life into the back of my car. I packed my clothes, my personal documents, and the few mementos left by my biological father. Earlier that afternoon, I had used my private, untouched savings account to secure a beautiful, sunlit studio apartment across town, signing the lease within an hour. As I walked through the family home one last time, turning off the festive tree lights, the house felt strangely hollow. They wanted a perfect family holiday without my stressful financial complaints or my constant reminders about the bills, so I decided to give them exactly that. I climbed into the driver's seat, pulled out of the snow-dusted driveway, and power buttoned my phone completely off. I let the silence wash over me as I drove away, leaving them entirely alone in their deep, arrogant ignorance. My disappearance had officially begun. I turned my phone back on late Christmas afternoon, sitting on the floor of my new apartment with a warm cup of coffee. The screen immediately exploded with dozens of missed calls, urgent voicemails, and increasingly frantic text messages. At first, the texts from my mother were dripping with smug satisfaction, demanding to know where I was hiding. But as the hours rolled on, the tone shifted into absolute panic. Without my income dynamically linked to the household's automated accounts, the primary credit cards had been declined during their Christmas dinner, and the electricity company had sent an automated final warning notice to the smart meter portal. They were completely stranded without their financial engine. I didn't engage with any of their emotional manipulation or dramatic outbursts. Instead, I simply replied with a single, crystal-clear photograph of the legal clause from my father's will, alongside a formal text message that cut straight through their holiday cheer. Merry Christmas, Eleanor. The deed is officially in my name. You and Austin have exactly 30 days to pack your things and completely vacate my house. The trap had finally snapped shut. The next morning, the dam broke. My phone lit up continuously with frantic calls from my mother, switching violently between tearful begging and venomous guilt trips. She claimed that evicting my own family during the holidays was monstrous, completely forgetting her own cruel words from just days before. Austin even tried calling to threaten me with legal action, claiming they had rights to the property after living there for so long. I didn't utter a single word to either of them. Instead, I let my real estate attorney do all the talking. She formally served them with the official eviction notices that very afternoon, backed by undeniable proof of the property transfer. The fragile facade of their lavish lifestyle completely crumbled within a week. Without my corporate income covering the mortgage, insurance, and utilities, they couldn't afford to fight the case in court, let alone maintain the property. Eleanor and Austin quickly realized they had absolutely no legal leg to stand on and no safety net to catch them. The dynamic had completely shifted, and for the first time in my life, I held all the power while they scrambled in panic. It's been a full year since that snowy night, and I am finally sitting in a home that is entirely mine. I sold the old family house, paid off the remaining baseline equity required by law, and invested the profits directly into my own financial future. My mother and Austin ended up moving into a cramped, low-rent apartment on the edge of the city, finally forced to live within their own meager means. I haven't spoken to either of them since the day the eviction was finalized. Looking back, I realized that my mother's cruel words weren't a curse. They were the greatest gift she could have ever given me. By telling me to disappear, she inadvertently forced me to stop waiting for her approval and start claiming my own life. There are no more lies, no more toxic manipulations, and no more paying for a family that only valued my wallet. Just a quiet, honest, and truly beautiful freedom.